Welcome to the LOL podcast. I am Professor G. I am joined again tonight by Eric, Leonard, James. It's a pleasure to have you all with us as we discuss a movie yet to be named. Eric, Leonard, James, would you like to go ahead and name and describe that movie in the order of your choice? You could describe and then name if you prefer.
Ooh, well, when you put it that way, we're gonna.
Why wouldn't you?
We're gonna throw it out here. It's not a big secret when you read the synopsis, but I'll give her an old try. So, the plot summary. The story follows Lieutenant Pete Maverick Mitchell, played by Tom Cruise, a talented
Peter
but reckless
when he's been a bad boy.
Yes, a talented but reckless fighter pilot in the U.S. Navy. After a daring maneuver saves a fellow pilot, Maverick and his radar intercept officer, Nick Goose Bradshaw, are sent to the Navy's prestigious Top Gun Naval Fighter Weapons School in Miramar, California. At Top Gun, Maverick competes with other top pilots, particularly Tom Iceman Kaczynski, played by Val Kilmer, whose disciplined flying contrasts sharply with Maverick's impulsive style. Maverick also becomes romantically involved with Charlotte Charlie Blackwood, played by Kelly McGillis, one of the instructors of the school. As the competition intensifies, Maverick faces personal and professional challenges, especially after the tragic death of his close friend and Rio Goose. Struggling with guilt.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. Come on, people. It came out in 1986. Struggling with guilt and self-doubt, Maverick must confront his fears and find redemption. In the film's climax, Maverick and Iceman are called into real combat where Maverick proves his courage and skill by saving his teammates and finally earning the respect of his peers. And of course, if you couldn't figure it out already, that is from the epic, the iconic, the generational influencing movie, Top Gun.
I wasn't sure there if you were talking about ChatGPT or the movie's name.
Well, yeah.
The epic,
Okay.
the generational influencing.
Both are true, depending on which generation you're talking about.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
So we are talking about Top Gun, 1986, I believe is what you said. I think that's right.
Yes, sir.
We got here in part because the iconic Top Gun theme music was produced by Harold Faltermeyer, which came up, I think, in Fletch. I think that's how. I think that was partially the connection that brought us to the Top Gun. So Harold Faltermeyer, who also did, I believe, Beverly Hills Cop. Was that Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, that's right.
I think, yeah. And then, of course, so the theme of Top Gun was Harold Faltermeyer. The song that everybody now associates with it, that is more of the pop version, was Kenny Loggins. The hell's the name of the song?
Danger Zone?
Danger Zone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the one. So, okay, right off the bat, we got some iconic music. Here's where I want to start with this, though. And thank you, by the way, for reading out what a Rio is, because I had to look it up again. I actually worked with a guy. Yeah, I hired him. Did I hire him? I don't know. He was on my team at one point. I can't remember if I hired him or not. I ended up with him. That was his job. He was a Rio. He was that radar intercept officer. He was a backseat driver. He called himself, I was the backseat driver, like in Top Gun.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. Let's take this chronologically. Good summary, by the way. Thank you, Eric, Leonard, James, and ChatGPT.
Can I add one thing? Have you
Oh,
ever
please.
listened to the full soundtrack for this movie?
I'm going to say probably, but not in my recent memory.
I can tell you. So my father was a huge fan of this movie, and he he owned the Top Gun soundtrack, I think both on CD and on cassette. And if do yourself a favor, go and see if you can find the album, because it's got some absolute 80s bangers. Not just the ones you're thinking of. Not just the Kenny Loggins, Playing with the Boys, Highway to the Danger Zone. Everybody knows Take My Breath Away. But there's some other ones in there. It's like, okay, you play that, you crank it up to 11 as you're driving down the road.
Yeah.
And you
do these go to 11?
Yeah, this one does. But you will feel like a maverick as you're driving down the road, jamming to this soundtrack.
Heaven in Your Eyes by Loverboy.
Uh-huh.
Through the Fire, Larry Green. Destination Unknown, Marietta Waters. Okay.
There's Hot Summer Nights by Miami Sound Machine.
Yeah, I know. But Spotify just decided to play FFGs with me. Now it just closed. Oh, my gosh. Let me try that again. Yeah, okay, Miami Sound Machine. Look, God, we could have a whole podcast on soundtracks.
Yes.
Maybe that's our next adjacency.
That could be fun.
Because there's so many songs that you're just like, wow, I didn't realize. All My Heroes, Memories, Harold Faltermeyer, Mighty Wings, Cheap Trick. Great Balls of Fire, of course. Jerry Lee Lewis. Very iconic scene. Hungry Eyes, Eric Carmen. Eye of the Tiger, Survivor. When did they play Eye of the Tiger in Top Gun?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. I don't remember that from the soundtrack either.
All right, we're going to have to do some research on that.
Yeah.
But, okay, fair point. Well taken. By the way, can you do me a favor while I bloviate here for a moment? Can you type in and ask ChatGPT for some fun trivia facts about Top Gun?
Okay.
Because I'm sure there are some. And I'm sure that will include the fact that, of course, look, we're talking about a movie that was made in 1986, which was, let me do some mental math, live on the podcast, which is always dangerous. I think that's 42 years ago. No, 38 years ago. 86, 38 years ago. 39 now. I'm going to stop embarrassing myself.
Yeah, it's getting old. I'm feeling old at the moment.
They made a new one. Okay, they made a new one a couple of years ago.
Yes.
They did a good job with it. Maybe we'll do that one on the show here at some point. Now I forgot where I was going with that. Oh well. Let's see here. So, what I was going to say is, so let's take this chronologically, because if we do go to the new one at some point, there's some things that'll come up. But look, the movie starts off with the scene of they're in the airplane, and they fly F-14 Tomcats. So you've got Maverick and Goose, and they're doing they're engaged in a potential dogfight with a real enemy, and it's kind of like this is the first time that it sounds like this is the first time that the flight teams have experienced a real life enemy, because what happens is Cougar, who is in another F-14, he loses it.
Right.
He gets a radar lock from the enemy on his airplane, and so basically they're ready to fire missiles. And of course, the whole thing is like, are they really going to shoot him down? No, it's all a big show of force. Hey, whose is bigger? But still, right? They're in the shit. And
you hear comments like, "What? No one's been this close before." So like this is the next gen type fighter that they're seeing for the first time. And one of the things I love is that they make sure that it looks new, because the MiGs have a brand new, fresh, shiny livery on them. They're black with the red star, versus the F-14s that are the traditional gray. They don't have a fancy paint job. Just to prove the point that this is new. This is hot.
That's a great point, actually, because the F-14 is it's a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing if you just Google that airplane, and if you know anything about, I mean, the wings move, right, in
Yep.
order to get it from a takeoff position to a fighting position at higher speeds. They had to actually they're moving the wings. It's just a large, heavy beast of an aircraft,
Yeah.
and it's amazing when you do some research on it. That thing lands on an aircraft carrier and takes off. It's just mind blowing,
Right.
especially when you compare it to, pretty much any other airplane: F-22, F-18, F-35, and of course the new movie they use F-18s.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, they are the whole movie, even the second one. In the second movie, here we go. Now we're talking about the second movie. It's not about the plane; it's about the pilot.
Absolutely.
And it's so I'm glad you brought that up, because that's never explicitly stated in the first one.
Right.
But man, this is a podcast on leadership, so of course, why wouldn't we bring that up? That's really the underlying theme of the movie, is it's not the plane, it's the pilot.
One of the things that I noticed in that opening scene is how right off the bat everybody knows their role, and they know they're about to engage bogeys, but everybody knows their role. The Rios know their role. The lieutenants know their role. The pilots know their role, and they're communicating. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Like, okay, cool. And they obviously that comes from training, but right off the bat, I saw strong leadership, strong organizational skills within the team, as to how they're going to interact with this opponent, or with this danger zone, as it were.
Oh,
I went there.
I see.
I did it.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Hold on. I'm going to pop up my my cheat sheet here so that I can remember all of the names, which I'll probably still forget. So, okay. We've set the stage. We've established there's some great music. We've established that there's some through lines to the sequel, which we're not even talking about. But let's go back to Cougar. So Cougar's with Merlin, I believe. They encounter the MiGs, and it shakes them. It shakes Cougar. So they get through it. They get through the encounter, in part because Maverick comes around, and he gets a lock on the plane. And so they all bug out. But now it's time to return to the aircraft carrier. Everybody's low on fuel. We got to get back. We got to land the planes. Cougar now he's having a moment. He's looking at the picture of his wife and his kid, who we find out he's never met. I assume that meant the kid, not his wife, because otherwise I've got some more questions.
Here's hoping.
Maybe that explains a few other things, but so yeah, he's just frozen. He's frozen. He's locked up. So before we get to what happens, I mean, let's just talk about Cougar. I wrote down, turns out not to be good under pressure. Like when he's truly tested, and this is the thing with leadership, like you can train people and train people and train people, and there's good training, there's better training, there's the best training. Doesn't matter what kind of training you have, though. There's a phrase that I used a lot in my career when I was in corporate roles. We get a new leader that comes in. Hey, what do you think of so-and-so, the new director, the new VP, whatever? Seems like a good guy. Hasn't been tested yet. Right? A lot of people come into an organization and you're like, okay, right credentials, saying a lot of the right things, but have they been tested yet? Has anything happened to really put them to the test, to really see how are they going to respond when the shit really hits the fan?
Sure.
And in the case of Cougar, he loses it. And I'm not blaming him. He's human. He starts thinking about his kid, right? But the point is, he'd never been tested.
Right. One thing that I noticed about that was when he starts breaking down and when he starts freezing. Unfortunately, it's after the action has subsided. and he's in that after effect where the adrenaline's calmed down, and now he's starting to freak out. But to see the contrast in your teamwork between Merlin, his Rio, played by the illustrious Tim Robbins, by the way.
Indeed,
he is freaking out, and he's yelling at his pilot, and they're going back and forth, and I feel like his Rio is I got the names wrong. Merlin's the pilot. What's Tim Robbins' character's name?
No, Merlin is Tim Robbins.
Okay.
And Cougar is the
Cougar.
pilot.
Thank you. So Merlin is sitting there yelling at Cougar and like adding to an already stressful situation. Contrast that with Maverick, who turns around, comes back, puts him and Goose in a hazardous situation because they are low on fuel. And then talks him through it, calms him down, and says, "Hey, stay on my wing. I'm going to guide you home," because he recognizes, okay, this guy's going through some mental stuff right now, and he needs a supportive hand to get him back to the ship.
You missed a huge part, though. You left a huge part out. Maverick and Goose. First of all, everybody's been ordered back to the ship.
Sure.
RTB, return to base.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's where they're all headed. But of course, Cougar's having his come apart. Maverick's first back to the aircraft carrier. He's on approach.
Yes.
Call the ball. Okay. They're coming down. They actually almost touch down on the deck. And he's listening to the radio traffic and hears that Cougar's in trouble. I think that's what he says. Cougar's in trouble.
Yep.
And of course, Goose is in the back going, "What are you doing, Mav? What are you doing?" Thrusts on out, comes back. So now they're running on fumes, literally. They've got no fuel. They needed to land.
Right.
And he goes back and does all the things that you just said after he's supposed to be on the deck already. And then, he talks Cougar through it. "Hey, you're on my wing," right? And he gets him down. And, of course, then the next scene we see is Cougar comes in and he resigns. So, two things about Cougar that I think are worthwhile. One, okay, look, he's human. Hadn't been tested under pressure. And turns out, not a good fit. Not a good fit for that role.
Yeah.
And then more importantly, recognizes that and says, "You know what?
Yes.
I'm turning in my wings. I'm holding on too tight."
Yeah.
"I'm holding on too tight," is what he says. I think that's the leadership lesson from Cougar.
Completely agree. It also kind of brings up a good point that because he steps down, because he's learned there, it's been shown that he's not battle tested. Yet Maverick just went through the same thing, and he's still there. So, in that respect, he kind of proves, Maverick and Goose kind of prove that they really are number one on that ship and deserving of that invitation to Top Gun, because Cougar could not handle it. He had to step down.
Okay, I'm gonna. So what you're saying is they made it because fast forward. Now you get to Stinger, played by James Tolkien. They're next in, and they find out Cougar just quit, and he says, "I got to do something that I still can't believe I'm even doing. I got to give you your shot. You're going to Top Gun." Okay. I think two things can be true at the same time. Did they deserve it? Were they good enough? Yeah, let's say they were. Were they the ones who were supposed to go? Well, maybe this scenario proves that. But not because Cougar wasn't good enough, but because they were.
Yes. Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Completely agree.
right? So Cougar wigs out. Maverick doesn't help him. Maverick's not going to Top Gun.
Fair point. Well, and who knows what would have happened to Cougar and Merlin had Maverick not gone back?
Right. Different outcome.
Yeah.
But I mean, interesting thought experiment. I mean, okay, Maverick doesn't intervene. Cougar and Merlin still land safely.
Do they though? Like, he's frozen.
Well, but what I'm saying is, let's just say they do.
Okay. All right.
Let's say they do. Right.
Okay.
Okay, they're out. He comes in. He still resigns. Does Stinger still send Maverick and Goose because they're next up? Or is it in part because of how they stepped up that they're next up? I mean, it's kind of, I guess, implied in the movie that, well, it's just a ranking thing and whoever's next in the order is going to go. And we'll never know because that's not how it worked out. But
I could see in that scenario that Maverick and Goose do not go because of how Mavericky Maverick is.
yeah.
You know, he's such a wild card that with the flybys and all that sort of thing. Like, he's, you can tell that Stinger's already frustrated with him. He's already chewing him out, with the flybys, including the one with his daughter.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So he's already kind of a wild card that I don't know that Stinger completely trusts. So I think you bring up a good point that I think if Cougar and Merlin make their way back on their own, I don't know that Maverick and Goose have the same hero's journey, as it were.
Now, one thing I do want to point out, when Cougar's in trouble, Maverick doesn't say, "Oh my God, he's got a." So Maverick is not married, and Maverick has no kids that we're aware of. So Cougar's in trouble. He doesn't say, "Oh my God, Cougar's not going to make it home to his wife and kid." He doesn't say,
Right.
"Oh, he's never going to meet his kid." He simply says, "Cougar's in trouble." This is as they're getting ready to land, right? He's here. Cougar's in trouble. We got to go.
Yep.
Like, his teammate is in trouble. His brother's in trouble. He's going to go help his brother, not because he's got a family, not because he's his best friend, but because he's another fellow pilot and he's in trouble. I think we call that, I don't know, integrity.
Yeah. It also kind of shows that brothers in arms relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
where these guys are more than family, and there's that inherent like look out for each other mentality.
Well, and this, just to bring this back then to what we were talking about a moment ago, this is where, like, I wrote down hot dog versus true leader. Okay, well, if he's just a hot dog trying to one up everybody to make it to, say, Top Gun, I don't know that he says Cougar's in trouble.
Agreed.
I'm not even sure that yet. Maybe he helps him. Maybe he still helps him, but it's because he wants the mission to succeed. He'd say something like, "Well, the mission must succeed." He didn't say that. He said Cougar's in trouble.
Right.
I got to save my brother.
Yes.
I got to save my buddy.
Yep.
All right. Sometimes I can't read my writing. Let's talk about, let's advance the story. Okay, so Maverick and Goose, they make it to Top Gun. Now they're in the school. So basically, this is a group of people that's all the top 1%, did they say, of all fighter pilots. So you got a bunch of type A alpha male dipshits that are all just out to go and one up each other. And we see that as they start getting into the training, and it's a competition.
Yes.
Look, and that's fine, right? There's a competition. But then we've got Tom Skerritt, who plays Viper.
Yes.
Who is basically the teacher, if you will, of the Top Gun. What's the word I'm looking for? The cohort. And he says, remember, when we're out there, we're all on the same team.
Right.
When it's when it's over out there, we're all on the same thing. I think.
Yes.
All on the same team. I think is the exact
yes.
Quote, because things are getting a little like, hey, this is a competition, but remember, we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
And I wrote down something I don't understand. This happens a lot too. Start watching the movie, I get into it.
If you just read it out loud, I'm sure we can make it up as we go.
I'm going to do it. He allows Mitchell a pass. Interesting.
Could it be when they do the flyby?
I think you're right. I think you're right, because he decides to buzz the tower. And that's right. And is that where the guy? Because
the air boss is pissed, and he's like, "I want some butts.
I want some butts."
Because he's just spilled coffee all of himself. He got a brand new uniform on. He's chewing out Viper because of what his students have done. Then he walks out the door right as when a private or whomever is walking down the hall with a bunch of coffee, runs into him and says, "God damn it, that's twice."
Yes. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because
I knew we'd come together on it.
Because he is not happy.
Yes.
And look, and Maverick disobeyed. But Tom Skerritt comes in, and he just kind of lets that go. It's like he doesn't even care about that.
Yes.
And so I literally wrote down interesting. Now, what we subsequently find out is that Tom Skerritt Viper, played by Tom Skerritt, flew with Maverick's dad. And Maverick's dad disappeared while in combat. So he was killed in action, or so we presume. And I'm not even sure that Maverick knows that at the time.
No.
But knowing that Viper obviously knows that, is that what motivated him to give him, what I wrote down is to give him a pass?
Yeah, that's a good point that I didn't think of before, that maybe that might be Maverick's one kind of gimme, knowing Maverick's history, knowing the talent that Maverick is, but also having flown with Maverick's dad and knowing the talent that Maverick's dad had. That's a good point that I hadn't considered before. I kind of wrote it off as he was just dismissive. I was actually a little. I think I was a little disappointed that here you have an upper level colleague, from a different department, if you will, who's chewing out Viper about basically the insubordination of his people, and Viper's response was, well, guess it takes care of that. You heard the other guy's ire, and now we're going to move on. And I was like, I don't know if that's how I would handle it. But when you frame it that way, like, okay, that might be Maverick's one mulligan because of the relationship.
Maybe there's a leadership moment there too, though. Like, so I remember this is topical to what I do today now, or one of my jobs, right? In fact, I almost said this today to a student. So, I'm a driving instructor, amongst other things. And I don't remember a lot from when I was taking behind the wheel classes. But I do remember one very specific circumstance where we're driving along and, it's probably like a second lesson, maybe even the last lesson. I don't even know. We're chit-chatting. I'm driving. My speed's good. Everything's good. there's a stop sign, some trees kind of obscure. I didn't see it. I didn't see the stop sign. And the next thing I know, like, the instructor is braking the car for me.
Okay.
And he just goes, "I trust no rebuke is necessary." Nope. I'm good.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I said something like, wow. Did the branch cover it? Like, I just didn't see it. I just didn't see the stop sign.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So maybe this is, and I bring that up because, look, I prided myself back then. Like, I was an A student. Like, I didn't get in trouble for anything. You're going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure that I'm obeying all the things. And for the most part, I did. And so it was like, oh my God, I almost ran a stop sign and he had to stop the car. I trust no rebuke is necessary. Okay, so he knew me well enough to realize that, okay, I don't need to explain stop signs to you.
Sure.
You didn't see it. You got caught up talking, whatever. So I think maybe that's what happened with Viper.
Sure.
Like,
Yep.
all right,
Yeah, that makes sense.
You just heard the exchange that I came away from.
Yep.
So we're going to move on from that, right?
I also wonder if it's because it's on top of other things that Viper discusses with them next, that he's like, all right, there's two things that I need to deal with here. The first one was the flyby. That's the lesser of two evils. So we've covered that base. Now we're going to move on to the next.
Which I think is still a good leadership lesson there because, okay, you're going to pick your battles.
Exactly.
You're going to, and look, in education, we'd refer to that as scaffolding the learning. Okay, we're going to introduce this I need you to do this. I need you to do these 10 things. But I know if I tell you these 10 things, it's going to overwhelm you and you're not going to learn. So I'm going to give you the first 2. And then you're going to do that well. And then I'm going to give you the next 2. And then the next 2. And then we're going to get there eventually. And so we can do that with leadership as well. Like, okay, well, you just did 4 things that are pretty effed up. But there is a hierarchy here. And so I'm going to deal with the most egregious things. Like, look, some of these things you probably have already internalized. And a good leader should know that. And okay, great. So I'm going to go after this thing. Because this is the one that we probably need to talk about.
Fair. And as it turns out, it works because the next scene after Maverick and Goose are scolded. I don't know if that's even the right word, but after they've had a talking to by Viper, the next scene is Goose comes in, Maverick's sitting by himself in his bedroom. Goose comes in and says, "Hey, I really need this, man." And Maverick admits, "Yeah, that might have not been my brightest moment."
Yeah.
And you actually see that another 1 or 2 times later on in the movie where Maverick does something where he kind of goes off on his own, typically at the strong suggestion otherwise by Goose, goes on, does his own thing, gets in trouble, and then recognizes, oh, yep, I did a bad thing, and apologizes.
Which is great emotional intelligence.
Yes.
He's recognizing his place in time and space, and oh, okay, yeah, I was kind of the jackass there. I'm gonna do better.
Yeah.
Which is unique because, again, we're talking about the elite of the elite when it comes to fighter pilots. So, like, look,
best of the best.
Let's be honest. This. Let me back up, okay? When I worked for the Boeing company, we had a leadership center in St. Louis. I was never invited. And I knew some people, though, that had gone there. And I heard stories. They said, look, the first thing they do is they start doing some exercises, and they're kind of segregating the group and you got your type A and your maybe not type B, but like they're segregating out who are my strong personalities, who are my lesser, and then they worked it so that now they're grooming these type A go-getters to be the future leaders, which I think is a flawed approach.
Absolutely.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. Look at some of the shit that's happened with the Boeing company over the last 15 years. All right? It's not great.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you firsthand, part of that is you're promoting the wrong people. Like, I wish I could get them to pay me a boatload of money to come in as a consultant to shake them in their, and go, hey, you're promoting the wrong people. Because that's the methodology. So look, the military's like that too. You got SEAL teams. They're going after a certain personality type. They're going after a certain people, and then they're building them up. Fighter pilots, right? You got to convince these people that they are invincible to get them to go do the crazy freaking things that you need them to go do.
Sure.
For the greater good. But there's an unintended consequence of that. And it's that usually, okay, well, now they have no basis in reality. So here we have Maverick, who's kind of a bit of a conundrum, I think. Because, yeah, okay, he's the best of the best fighter pilot. He's going to Top Gun. He's at Top Gun. And he's good. And we've seen that. We saw that with Cougar, right? Because not only is he good, he's good mechanically. He can fly the plane. And he can go and take out MiGs and dogfight, but also he can help his fellow soldiers, which now exhibits that emotional intelligence that we see again with, oh yeah, you know what, that was kind of a stupid decision. I don't know why I did that. I know why he did that. He was programmed to do that.
Oh.
And so now he's trying to, now luckily his values are overriding that, and he's going, yeah, you know what, that was too far on a personal basis.
Yeah. You see a lot of that back and forth. The other thing is, for the most part, Iceman, even though he's a raging a-hole, everything that he says about Maverick is true. Like, the guy is dangerous. He's not sticking by his wingman. He is breaking the rules and flying below the hard deck. Like, he's doing these impulsive, dangerous things. And typically he comes back and realizes after the fact, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I don't really feel like it really lands with Maverick until he loses Goose. And losing Goose was not by any means his fault. But I think that loss and him coming out of the grieving of that loss gives him a perspective to understand the importance of, okay, this is why, this, I gotta get my shit together. I need to stick to the plan and make sure that the people I care about are truly where, that I'm there for them. I can support them.
For sure. So I'm going to bust out a term here in a second, but that's a moment. We're going to come back to that, losing Goose. I want you to unpack, though, what you just talked about a little bit with some of the problems with Maverick that are legit, and I'll lead it with this. So there was a quote he tells. So we got to unpack a little bit of the story for the people that haven't seen the movie. So, all right.
You know what I have to say to the people that haven't seen the movie? Why haven't you seen the movie?
I know, but look, millennials. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
You saw Maverick. Go back and watch the first one. It's amazing.
So they're at Top Gun. They bring in a civilian instructor. Her name is Charlie.
Yes.
And she's played by Kelly McGillis. And she becomes the love interest of Maverick. So he says at one point when they're discussing some things, he says, I can see it's dangerous for you, but if the government trusts me, maybe you could. Now we'll put a pin in that statement from a political standpoint for a second, just because what a ridiculous thing to say.
It's a great line, though.
But what I want to focus on right now is her response, which is, it takes a lot more than just fancy flying, which I think is kind of what we've now started talking about and what you just led into. But can you expand a little bit? You mentioned Iceman, so can you talk about Iceman and some of the things he said and why he said them, and why does he think Maverick's dangerous?
Yeah, because and he does that too. That can get into some other themes of this movie, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, he tells Maverick, when you're up there, you're unpredictable. Like no one knows what you're gonna do next, and that makes you a liability from a team standpoint, because at any moment you could break off from the team, go do your own thing, leave the rest of us hanging. And then part of it,
which happened,
yes,
right? It happened in the training.
That's the second time when he realizes he did something wrong and says, "Yeah, probably was a bad idea."
Yeah, he decided, they're fine. I'm gonna go and win the prize. I'm gonna go after the big shark. And then the person he abandoned, his wingman, ended up getting taken out, metaphorically or in the game, however you want to call it. Yep. They didn't die, right? And that's what brought this on.
Yeah. Now, there's also that competitive ego in there as well, which unfortunately kind of taints Iceman's otherwise legitimate concerns. Because they're, when they go below the hard deck to take out Jester, they come back to the locker room and both Iceman and Slider,
hard deck my ass.
Yeah, hard deck doesn't count. Below the hard deck doesn't count. And it's like, okay, so they're right. They broke the rules in order to get Jester, but because there's that cocky attitude behind it, it's kind of easy to dismiss and further kind of paint Iceman and Slider as the bad guys or the antagonists at Top Gun.
So let's go back a scene too, because look, Maverick. I'm going to have a question here. I'm going to try to formulate it as I describe this. So okay, they go to the local watering hole. They're all at the bar. And this is before Maverick knows who Charlie is.
Yes.
Okay. So and this is a very famous scene in the movie, because basically they're running a play. Maverick and Goose are running a play, and all the other people, it's a military bar. All the other airmen in the bar are in on it. And so he sees this pretty blonde at the bar. Goes up to her, starts singing. The hell's the song that he sings?
You lost that love and feeling.
You've lost that love, and you lost that love and feel. And the whole bar joins in. Okay, so he assumes Maverick in this scene. A guy comes in, and she says hi to him.
Yep.
And he assumes that it's a date and they're together.
Right.
This is a visibly older man compared to the age of Kelly McGillis at the time. But Maverick makes that assumption, right? So he's making that snap judgment and he gets it wrong. And I feel like there's something there from a storytelling perspective. It's like, well, wait a minute. Sometimes he gets it wrong.
Yes.
Sometimes he gets it right. A lot of times, maybe, but here is another example. He gets it wrong, and then we see some examples again, like you said. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Finish your thought, but I do want to come back to that, like underestimating Charlie.
That's really the end of the thought, which was going to end with a question, and the question is, how good is Maverick? like, does he get lucky? Because at some point, I think it's Iceman refers to him as notorious, or somebody does. I think it was Iceman. Like, what's the difference? What's that dividing line between, hey, I'm really that good, and no, I just, I'm pretty good, but I get lucky a lot of the time.
I think from a talent standpoint, I would actually say that because of his talent, it gets him a little bit of it kind of gets him a pass on some of these mistakes, where if he wasn't as good as he was, they might come down a little harder on him. Because I don't think no one is doubting his ability as a pilot. Like nobody's saying he's a bad pilot or he doesn't deserve to be there from a talent standpoint. Like everybody, like even Viper and Jester are saying he's a hell of a pilot. God, he's a hell of a pilot. He's a hell of a pilot.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that wild card moment with him, and I think, I don't know that it's luck, but I do think his skill, I do think his skill is kind of his ego's writing checks that his body can't cash.
Look, this is why it's the perfect movie for this podcast, and why I can't believe we didn't do it sooner, because. Let's think about that. Let's say it out loud, right? And let's just see if anything comes to mind.
I'd say we should lead out loud, Professor.
Let's do that. Let's lead out loud. You've got somebody who is very technically capable, but who has exhibited, let's just call it intermittent moments of goodness. Okay? This is the challenge that we see in industry, right? This is why I started Lead Out Loud. You've got people that are technically good at what they do, and so somebody goes, "Oh, you're a really good fighter pilot. Well, let's put you in charge of the squadron." No, let's not fucking do that.
Yeah.
Right? Let's take a beat. Is this a good can this person get people to follow him or her? And when you've got people like Iceman, played, by the way, did we say played by Val Kilmer?
We said in the original synopsis, yes.
Okay. All right. So Iceman is played by Val
R.I.P.
Kilmer, who's fantastic.
Yes.
And rest in. I hate R.I.P. I don't like R.I.P. I'm okay with rest in peace. I don't like R.I.P.
This is for the kids.
No, hey, lucky versus notorious. You're dangerous, right? So here's another guy who's at the top of his game. He's just as good. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is going to come down to who can get people to follow him. If Maverick's dangerous, nobody's going to follow him.
Yes.
So that means he's not a good leader yet. I'm not saying he can't be, but he's not yet. He's good at what he does, but we now have to develop that other part of him to make him well-rounded, to make it so that he's also a good leader. And I think it's important that he's good at what he does. I think that helps.
No, to your point that, I also think that he can be, going back to some of the qualities we've mentioned before, that emotional intelligence and that integrity going back from Merlin. Like he's got leadership qualities that can be developed, that he can get to that point. He's just not there yet.
Yeah. All right. Let me turn the page here.
I wanted to go back to Maverick and Charlie, and kind of build off of what you had said before, because clearly Maverick has underestimated this girl, like assumed a lot of things about her, assumed that the man that she was with was a relationship, a romantic type relationship, when we don't know that that's for sure. She does a great job of playing off him because she's kind of dismissive of him as well, right? As, oh, look, another pilot's trying to hit on me. Roll my
Yeah.
eyes.
Another pretty flyboy.
Yeah. And so then the next morning, they both learn something about each other in that, holy crap, this girl that I was hitting on at the bar last night is now my instructor. She's got a doctorate in aerospace engineering. She's brilliant, and she knows more from a design standpoint. She knows more about airplanes than I do. And then at the same time, in that same scene, she learns that, oh, he's not just another dumb pilot. He's come in contact with the MiG, doing moves that I didn't even think were physically possible with the Tomcat. And so suddenly they start to realize, oh, they both underestimated each other at that night at the bar.
Look, you know what? That's the whole movie. The lesson. We're 50 minutes in to the podcast. Here's the Instagram reel. I'm so glad you put it that way. Yes, 100%. So, what do they say? We've brought in a civilian expert, call sign Charlie. She is a civilian, so you do not salute her. Okay. He recognizes. Oh, all right.
It's like, oh,
he's
God.
he's at the he's at the top of the top 1% of what he does. So, competency matters, right? Competency is tremendous.
Yes.
We're not talking about the people that just got there. We're not talking about the new recruits. We're not talking about the guy in the T-39 or 59 or 49, whatever the hell I worked on, the trainer, okay, that has the potential. We're talking about people that have demonstrated capability, and now they're building the rest of it, but it's not there yet, like you said, and they're learning things about each other. Oh, wow, okay, he's really good at what he does. That's important. He's really good at what he does.
Yes.
So that's the prerequisite, I think, to be now a good leader of this group of people. And then we see that, of course, in the second movie, right? Who do they bring back? They bring back Maverick. Oh, he was the guy that experienced the MiG inverted. He's the guy that did all these things, right? This is what probably you and I both felt or thought or experienced. I always used to, look, I went to school, I'm ready, let's go. But time in the chair is important.
Right.
Because you're gaining that experience that brings the wisdom. You've got the knowledge and the experience, now you have the wisdom, and now you're a force to be reckoned with, and it's really hard to gain leadership experience without wisdom. You can read it in a book, but until you have to have those hard conversations, until you have to have those hard moments, and you mentioned one, when frickin' Goose gets killed.
Yes.
Right? That's going to change the way that he makes decisions for the better. It's going to enrich his decision-making abilities. But he's not there unless he's a good fighter pilot.
Fair point. Exactly right.
You're going to be good at what you do, and then we're going to develop all the other things.
And I think that's really where you see the culmination of Maverick in his hero's journey, or when they graduate, they're now in a real world battle, and he says, "I am not leaving my wingman." And it takes him a minute, right? He has a freak out moment, much like Cougar did back at the beginning, but he re-engages
full circle
and brings it back, having learned from everything that has happened over the course of the movie, especially the loss of his best friend.
I actually never realized this before, but yeah, you're right. The Cougar thing in the beginning, that was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
From a storytelling standpoint, that was foreshadowing, because you're right. That's exactly what happens with Maverick. And let's back up, though, before he gets to the point where I will not leave my wingman. He's on alert 5. Right. Okay. I feel like every time I watch this movie, I Google it to make sure I remember it correctly. So his job on Alert 5, he's sitting on the aircraft carrier deck in an airplane, strapped in, engine running, ready to go. On the catapult.
Yep.
And when I Googled it, again, this last time, for potentially 2 hours at a time. Just sitting there waiting, like, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Yep.
The point being, he's a second stringer.
Sure.
He's not in the fight.
Yeah.
He's waiting on that deck for somebody to say, yeah, okay, it got bad enough, we're going to send you.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about an ego check. Here, let me just take this baseball bat and just swing it at your knees for a guy like that. So, okay, take him down a notch, right? You're Alert 5. Okay, I'm ready to go. And then he goes, I'm not leaving my wingman. Okay, he's learned his lesson. He's developed.
Yes. And then symbolically at that point, that's when he throws Goose's tags into the ocean, because he's not dependent on the memory of his best friend to get him through the mission.
Look, maybe that's where we land the plane. Pun intended.
I think it's a great idea.
Anything else that you have in your notes that we need to cover?
Well, there's so many things, but I also
know
know that we're getting short on time. I do want to say that much like Fletch was a very quotable movie for you, Top Gun is my quotable movie. I quote Top Gun pretty much on the daily.
Negative Ghost Rider, that pattern is full.
Exactly. Yeah, what's the name of that driving school? Truckmasters? I think I'm gonna need that. Like there's so many good movies. Did you want to throw out a couple of trivia things as I looked them up?
Yes, please send the trivia.
Top Gun was inspired by a magazine article, a 1983 article in California Magazine titled "Top Guns" by Eude Yonay. It profiled real U.S. Navy pilots at Miramar. As you might expect, U.S. Navy recruitment numbers jumped by 500% after this movie came out.
I would expect.
Ray-Ban aviator sunglasses increased by 40% the year it came out. Cruise, everybody knows Tom Cruise tends to do his own stunts. He wanted an authentic flight experience. The Navy agreed to take him up in a jet. After he vomited during the first flight, he has to go up again until he got used to it. That hands-on determination later helped him perform his own stunts in Top Gun Maverick. Apparently the love scene was added later with Kelly McGillis. Val Kilmer didn't want to be in the movie. He was contractually obligated by Paramount.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it say why?
He just says he wasn't interested. Maybe because it was a support role. I don't know. Ironically, his portrayal of Iceman became one of his most famous and beloved performances. The real Top Gun school fined Paramount. U.S. Navy Fighter Weapons School Top Gun fined anyone $5 for quoting the movie on base. I think I did know that. Apparently, the pilots were quoting the lines a bit too often.
Oh, that's funny.
I think I heard that. So I had the privilege. So most people don't know this, that Top Gun is no longer down in Miramar. Now it's based in Fallon, Nevada. And I actually got to go to Top Gun for work at one point. We were, back in my day, I was working on air conditioning systems, HVAC systems, and had an opportunity to go walk through the Top Gun building because they were doing some HVAC improvements on site. So I got to go there. There was a little gift shop, got myself a Top Gun polo. So yeah, that was a cool moment for me personally.
Well, very cool. I think the most surprising thing out of everything you just mentioned was that Val Kilmer did not want to do the movie.
Right.
I did not know that.
I didn't know it either.
Yes, for sure, one of his most iconic roles as Iceman. And then he reprised the role in Maverick. I think, as I understand it, in part as just a... I think Tom Cruise had to ask him to do it. He wanted him to be in it. There was there was some kind of a situation there, which we can dive into if we do Maverick later. But thank you, Eric, Leonard, James, and your whole team there of assistants that brought that.
Can't you see them all behind
together?
you?
Yeah. I know exactly where they are. I know exactly where they are. All right, I don't know what we're going to do next, but this one was overdue, so thank you very much. And look, we'll see everybody on the next one. Be good leaders and go watch Top Gun if you haven't seen it, for the love of Pete.
Too close for missiles, switching to guns.
That's his name, by the way. Pete.
That's right. Pete Maverick Mitchell. Thank you, Professor.
See ya.